Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be now going to the session that will be pre-lunch, and we are moving to liquid embolic agents. And so we will start again with our expert R&D gentleman who will be coming and talking to us. So we'll start with Mr. Ujjwal Jalgaonkar again, and he will be helping us to understand SQUID from BALT. And over to you, sir.
This is again starting with just the intended use of SQUID. It is indicated for embolization in both peripheral and neurovasculature, including AVM and hypervascular tumors. I wanted to start out with, most of you guys know, some of you might have a little bit of primitive understanding, so I just wanted to start with saying how SQUID, how it works, right? So first thing is, what is it? It's a premixed injectable embolic liquid, right? And what does a premix means? That it is EVOH, ethylene vinyl alcohol, mixed with DMSO, which is a very potent solvent, and then we add tantalum, which is a radiopaque agent to it. So it's a combination of these three in different percentages. How does this work is basically the polymer solidification occurs as when this liquid injectable liquid comes in contact with the aqueous medium, right? Saline and or blood. And this mechanism works by the solvent getting diffused and eliminated into the system via kidneys and urine and skin. And as the solvent diffuses, it forms a spongy cast. And typically it's more like a lava. As it is diffusing, the solidification, you see this very nice spongy delivered SQUID here, but what this is like initially when you inject it, it will always start from the outside, just like a lava, and the inner core cures over time because it's just the mechanism, like the diffusion mechanism works from the outer surface. So that's one thing that you guys already know and you are all careful of, but just for somebody who is starting new, this is something to be mindful of. Like it might seem like the outer surface is solidified, but the inner core could be still flowing. Most of the liquid embolic EVOH based are like this. The concept remains the same, the mechanism of action, if you will. There are some key features to talk about is when you are delivering a liquid embolic is the homogeneity. And when I mean homogeneity, I mean the homogeneity of the radiopacity. Like that when you are looking at that, it should always, angiographically, you want it to be very homogeneous because it's a mixture. So you don't want the mixture to be inadequately mixed, where one area is looking more denser than the other area, and angiographically you wouldn't know that. So that's why homogeneity is very important. And the two other thing is the viscosity and the density, radiopacity. Where by viscosity I mean like these products, how they flow into the vasculature depending on where you are injecting, high flow situation, low flow situation, if there is a backstop, how they flow, the viscosity is a critical element. And then radiopacity, density is something that you don't want. This can create artifacts, so you want the density situations where you want higher density, and then there are situations where you would want lesser density, radio opacity, if you will. So I'll go one by one into this one. So one of the things is homogeneity. One of the, this picture is just showing you after 20 minutes of shaking, as you try to settle like this over time, that the radio opacity here, as you can see, is very high, right? This is tantalum, and this must be the fill volume of the total liquid embolic. You can see that as you keep this over time, this settlement happens. So you did the shake, you injected, withdrew it into the syringe, and now you are injecting slowly. This homogeneity is very important because if it starts to settle, then you are not actually seeing the whole liquid where it is going. You might be seeing in inconsistent visualization of that one. So with SQUID, one of the key processes that was optimized was tantalum is a metallic structure which is added, and as you can imagine, if you put something heavy in a gel form liquid, bigger particles tend to settle faster. SQUID uses micronized tantalum, nanometer sized tantalum, which is controlled spherical shapes, and which helps it maintain the homogeneity over a longer period of time compared to the earlier generation of liquid embolics. So that is a key differentiation on that one. And why it works is because of the selection of the tantalum that is used in mixing. The second topic I said was viscosity. Why is viscosity important? And I think the SQUID liquid embolic comes in 3 different viscosities. And when we say viscosity, I'm talking about centipoise. 34, 18, and 12. It's very obvious, like the difference between SQUID 18 and SQUID 12 is what we are showing here. And you will make a choice based on the situation you are in, right? If you are starting to, in a high flow situation, you want a plug to be made, you could start with higher viscosity. But mostly in more distal vessels and all that, you want better penetration, SQUID gives this is the rete mirabile of in a porcine model, very similar to a very hypervascular situation that you guys face. And you can see that the penetration of SQUID 18 compared to SQUID 12 is very different. It flows really well, and SQUID 12 is not available in all geographies, or SQUID in general is not available. And we hear quite often that injecting SQUID 12 versus 18, it behaves very differently, but the results are phenomenal. And so viscosity is very key in this one, especially this is more of a logarithmic effect, if you will, when it flows in. That numerically it might not seem a significant difference, but practically it flows very different. The last thing is that SQUID also comes in 2 different radiopacities, and how that was achieved is that the percentage of tantalum that is added into the mixture is different. So we have reduced the quantity of tantalum that is added, which is the radiopaque element in the liquid embolic mixture, to give a low density version. And what this is just showing is that this is a tube in which you have pushed SQUID 18 LD version, and this is a SQUID 18 regular version. And as you can see a little bit of a glimpse of a needle that here. So sometimes in microangio, if you are trying to visualize architecture in your multiple settings of injections, this kind of low density helps to start with. Overall, this is what SQUID, I already talked through this, but what is the SQUID comes in these 6 formulations, if you will. From viscosity standpoint, 34, 18, and 12, and then the LD versions of each. I pretty much talked about all of this, like when the low density versions are generally 30% lower visualization or lower radio opacity. This is just giving the version of the range details of this one. As you can see, this come in 1.5 millimeter vial and 3 millimeter vial, and all of these come, so it's total 12 versions here, but the same thing, 2 different radio opacity and 3 different viscosities. One thing is very important is making sure that you are choosing a catheter that is compatible, because DMSO is a very potent solvent, and polycarbonate and other some of the polymers that have been traditionally used in catheter technologies, coronary, which is where we came from. Polycarbonate was a material which was very commonly used hub material, and also some other polymeric material. So it's very important that you know what this liquid embolic is compatible with. And currently SQUID is compatible with Sonic, which is a detachable tip microcatheter, Gamma 17, and Eclipse. And Eclipse 12 is a balloon, dual lumen balloon catheter is what we're shown here. Yeah. I think that is the high-level details on SQUID. Open for any questions.
Thank you so much for this. I just wanted to know, we sometimes loosely use this term density and viscosity, low density, low viscosity. You have put that in your slide as well, like LDs and viscous. What is the difference between this viscosity and density? How am I supposed to choose that on my patient? Like, for example, you have a SQUID 18 and a SQUID 18 LD. So what is that? Yeah.
So the 30% less viscosity is very straightforward. It's the flow property, right? And then the low density version was necessarily created for, it is a 30% less tantalum grains, right? So we are adding, if I'm adding certain quantity in 1.5 ml, if I'm adding, let's say 50 or 70 grams, I would add 30 grams less. And as I said, the radiopacity in the liquid embolic is achieved by how well those tantalum particles are distributed in the mixture. Now, if you have 10,000 particles in the mixture versus 5,000, your radiopacity is a function of the radiopaque material, which is tantalum. So basically, this allows for a lesser, in the visualization, you can see that here you can see through this. And so it's a lesser denser, so lesser artifact, and then it helps with the mic. I don't know if you, like the image here is supposed to tell you, like here you can tell that there is the needle underneath there.
So can you give me an idea of when should I choose an low density SQUID?
Like it's, if you want to evaluate, like if you are doing a multiple, if you know that in your sessions that you are going to have multiple sessions, right? And in that case, having a low density version in the first round helps, because you are not really, in the second versions, you will know that, okay, this is what the first round was. In the second version, I'm still able to see, am I penetrating even deeper or not. So it's the ability to evaluate the angio architecture, basically better, a differentiation in different runs, or when you know that it's a superficial target and I can see the injections, I don't want to really go with a high density version. Like that. And this is again very interestingly coming from very early feedback, physician feedback as we were developing these versions.
Which version is used in middle meningeal artery embolization? Any idea?
Like for chronic subdural unit?
Subdural.
We have a trial going on for that one in US STEM trial.
Any idea?
We have seen people mostly choose the regular one. The regular non-LD version.
I think he's asking about the viscosity. Which viscosity?
Yeah.
Oh, viscosity.
Yeah.
The viscosity are lower viscosities. We are mostly seeing people preferring the 18 and or 12.
And then going into the anterior superior division and the posterior division, do we need separate catheters for each?
Well, you cannot once you have injected it, typically they would go in and get another catheter to go into the different branch, yes. And that is there is a lot of different, like a lot of people are using particles, some people are using glue and all that. With liquid embolic also there are techniques that people are still those techniques are evolving.
Any early conclusions on STEM trials? You don't know?
Oh, well, I'm not supposed to know and tell.
Okay. I think that's it. If there are no more questions, thank you so much.